that he took 20 years to get, and your dad is already lining up, and you're lining up. Like, I mean, that's amazing. And I love the idea of what you're doing because it really lines up with kind of what I'm doing, you know. But
That's right. Yeah, I was really excited because I think
I want you to. Are you allowed to tell any of these stories? Because I'm putting you on the spot, kind of, but like maybe like once a month, once a year, twice a year, however often you have time, like your top stories. Would you be allowed to bring them on here and read them?
Yes, definitely. Yeah, and I was even thinking that one of the things I want to do here in Charlotte, and haven't really planned this out yet, so I don't know if I should be saying it, but one of the things that I really want to do is get down to the real people of Charlotte and talk about, and because these stories are so classic and timeless, it doesn't matter that they're from Charlotte, but that's where I am right now, and my office is at Starbucks. I work there 3 days a week, and I've met some incredible people, and people tell me their stories, and then now they follow WIRL Project, and some of them are contributors. I mean, we have over 120 contributing writers for WIRL Project, and that's just been in a couple months.
Wow.
So
that is amazing.
So people follow it, and they want to know more, and I think taking someone's story and giving it a louder voice and giving it a more powerful voice can help their story to be so much more than they even believe it can be. I had a lady just this morning. I saw her in Starbucks. I met her through another group that I'm in, and she recently was diagnosed with cancer for the second time. And she has 3 kids, and she posted yesterday on WIRL Project about what it was really like to be diagnosed with cancer for the second time and what she did. And her take on it wasn't to go home and cry, although she mentions that she did that. Her take on it was actually to laugh about it. And you might not think that's normal, and she didn't really think it was normal either, but she had this overwhelming feeling about her is to take this and use it for something good and to laugh about it and say, this is what I'm going to do with my life now. And 2 weeks, or no, I don't know how long ago, a couple weeks ago, she had surgery to get the cancer removed. They got all of it, so now she's cancer-free. And I saw her in Starbucks this morning with this big scar on her neck, and she was wearing it proudly, no bandages or nothing. And I told her, I said, do you know that your story was read by hundreds of people yesterday? Over 500 people read your story, and she had tears in her eyes as soon as I told her that. I said, you impacted hundreds of people by just telling that story. And she's got a ton of comments on Facebook. She's got a ton of comments on her site. And she's just like, oh my gosh, I can't wait to tell another story. So the first one's always hard, but then after that, people start to see people care about what I have to say. People care about my experiences and what I've done, and the answer is yes. We all care.
You're going to change the world. You know that, right? I mean, think about it. That's how you do it, And I was you made me think about some things that I probably would write anonymous, but, when you have those things that are balling up inside you and you finally are able to let it out and get a response and see that it's okay, people will accept you after this, or it's not really as bad. I mean, if the worst thing that happened in my life was me tripping over this desk and falling, I would be a brat in my eyes. But you can't stop what's the worst thing that ever happened to me. So if I'm feeling like, if people found out that I tripped over this desk, nobody would ever talk to me. And I don't know who I could talk to it about, and I'm scared. You could put it on the site anonymously, and then people responding like, oh, me too. I understand. I did this, and I did.
And then they'll say, you know what? My story's worse. This is what happened to me. I tripped over a desk, and I got a concussion. And they'll try to outdo you because their story's so much worse.
And it makes you feel so much better.
Yeah, I mean that's that's the nature of it.
Yeah, like I've been hiding this for 10 years about tripping over the desk. It's been causing so many problems in my life because I have to avoid it. And in 10 years, you're like, oh, well, this person. Concussion 2, and you let it out 11 years ago. What am I doing? Like this. So I think it's going to change the world. I think it's going. I mean, because I haven't heard of any platforms like this, but I haven't researched them. I'm not in that field. But I mean, and if you are allowed, or I would love to hear these stories. Like,
I would love to do a regular feature where or we could even have an open mic. Day where we get some people actually sharing their stories. And I think hearing the author's voice
and seeing
the emotion that comes from actually reading it You know,
Right.
I think that's incredible, and I'd be willing to go first. You know, if you want me to read, I just wrote one about my son and how I see my father and my son, and it talks about the last few months of my dad's life started to go downhill, and the sicker he got, the bluer his eyes got. Now when I look at my son's blue eyes, I can see my father and my son, and how when my son is drooling because he's teething, and I wipe his drool from his chin, it reminds me of the time when my dad couldn't swallow anymore, and I also wiped this drool from my dad's chin, and so I see my father and my son when I do that, and then it kind of goes into how my toddler son and my dying father related a lot, but there's a positive through all that, and that I can still see a lot of my father's traits in my son today. So
Wow.
that was more of like a writer's post, you know. It was more
But still,
like
that's, I mean, that's
abstract.
amazing. Like how you just, your mind is old. Your mind, I mean, you know, you have an old mind. I mean, and that's great, you know, because if you can reach a 400-year-old mind, it's probably gonna be,
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, I mean, wow. So
Yeah.
for you to see that, like, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I haven't had, I don't know. That's pretty crazy for you to see that, and your father still lives through it. Because, like, I don't know, like the slaver, like I don't know. I'm not as much as pay attention to detail. So.
But I've also written posts about like very lighthearted, conversational. You know, most of the things I write, and I say this regularly, and I want to write about it soon. But I don't write for Google. I don't write for search engines. I don't write for necessarily my audience. I write because it's what I feel. So if it's not perfect grammar, and if I accidentally use the wrong word, or I don't care, and I hope you don't either,
No, I
because
don't.
what I am writing about is something that I'm passionate about, or something that I'm feeling that's worthy enough for me to want to tell you. So it's me, and I'm not perfect, and neither are any of the writers who write for these great, you know, like Huffington Post
they're
and other
not.
things. And it's funny because I went to a blogging conference recently, and I wanted to start putting some of my work into these writers type of sites. And every time I've been getting rejected. And
Wow.
on my site, my work does great. And then on their site, it's not perfect enough for their platform. And so I want people to know that, because people, you don't have to be perfect. And this is probably the only place besides Facebook that you can write and just be you, and people appreciate that. And it doesn't have to be anything, you know, groundbreaking, or and if someone doesn't like it, then they can just graze right past it. You know, they don't have to tell you they don't like it. And quite frankly, if you say anything hateful on the site, we don't put it up there. Everything's moderated. So it is kind of a safe place, but it's not such a kumbaya type of place. It's just a real place. You know, it's a place where you can just be authentic and be who you are.
I love it. I mean, because that's exactly what drove me away from the news, is because it wasn't, I don't feel like people talk to each other like that. You know, like with this podcast, I had no idea a year ago I was going to do a podcast. I just knew I loved to talk. I knew I loved to meet people. But just the realness of it, like on this podcast, it's like we didn't script any of this.
No.
This is not, it wasn't, you know.
I wanted to, but you wouldn't let me.
No. Yeah, see? So I'm more like you. You know how people on your site, they're like, well, what if I want to write for Google or tell a story I heard? No, I want to hear your story and your feelings. You know, so I want to hear your conversation, you know, like.
And do you know why I trusted you? Like, this is coming, you've never heard this, but I told my sitter this morning as I was leaving the house, I said, I think that what he's doing is so similar to WIRL Project that if we tried to script this, if he tried to give me some things that I wanted to talk about, it wouldn't be real. So I'm going to go with the fact that he and I are on the same page, and that we want just the real, genuine sides of each other to come out. And if we plan that at all in advance, it wouldn't be real.
That is.
So that's the benefit of the doubt I gave you when I was coming this morning.
Are you happy that you came?
I am happy that I came.
I'm messing up the microphone, but yeah, see, and that's, you know, that's real. I didn't plan to mess up the microphone, and I didn't plan to high five, and that's, I mean, this is totally exactly what I'm in. Like, you know, and I didn't see it like, I want to make a ton of money off of this. Yeah, it might happen. But I just want to start out doing what I love. Because you can make $1 million selling popcorn seasoning.
You can.
You know, so why not start with what I love and move forward? And that's exactly what you're doing.
Or else you're going to burn out.
Yes. And I mean, it's the exact same, you know, so if you, I mean, I think we should host the show together, and we should get guests on here from from WIRL Project. Just random, you know, guests that want to come on, or even if if we didn't have any guests, we could have somebody read it off. Like, you know, I mean, I think this is amazing.
I think it's really cool.
And I don't know how you feel about this because I'm putting you right on the spot. Like, we didn't talk about this, but I'm like, hey, you want to do it? We could do a regular show and talk. I mean, I think the future is video. You know, like,
I think so too.
With and you know, there's pictures now. You know, and I think like probably 30 years ago, it was probably most people who looked at pictures were of famous people. You know, because you saw magazines, it was newspapers, that was the hot thing. You know, posters, everything was hot.
Oh yeah.
And so you saw the 80% was famous people. But once they made it easy enough for you to upload a picture within like 2 seconds and give you a platform to do it on, 80% of the pictures you see are of your friends and people you know. And
that are not photoshopped.
Right.
You know, they may be filtered or fixed a little bit.
Right. But it's from your friends. You're no longer 80% of Facebook is not about celebrities. Right. It's about your friends. So it's you in your little group. So the thing is, when TV turns to that, you know, because magazines are out. I mean, who really, you know what I'm saying? But with video, that's when the video turns that way. The TV stations are going to probably shut down. Well,
that's what I recently pitched to an investor a couple weeks ago. There was a competition, and so I entered myself into it, and so I pitched WIRL Project to them. And my idea was that, or my pitch, I guess, was that let's do with the internet what reality TV has done with television. So let's take, you know, reality TV shows that are scripted, that aren't really reality, and let's actually put reality online and do that through the form of videos and photographs and stories and things like that. So I think that WIRL Project can be and will be, you know, that place where you can go to be real and also find out information about other people who are real. Yes. And I think that information is going to be timeless and relevant forever. I mean, it doesn't. You can say something about what it's really like to be, you know, a doctor, and that's not going to be bad news in a couple years. You know, that information is still going to be helpful. It's actually going to be fun to look back and see how things have changed over the years and things like that.
See, so. And I mean, this is crazy lining up. You know, like I didn't crazy know how this was like, but I mean, it's like that realness. That's what I felt on the podcast, and I felt like the news wasn't. I mean, what you're saying, like, oh, I'll give you a chance, because I mean, it solely lines up exactly. I mean, I think we should totally do like a monthly show, and you can put clips and, you know, because it's not. We're not, oh, well, what about, I mean, in your stories, they're so real. Like, the world's missing that. And I think that's what the broadcasting industry, that's what I saw. TV, radio, internet, what it's missing is the realness.
Right. And raising awareness to things that not many people know about or not many people care about. And the crazy thing was last summer, they'd have the Ice Bucket Challenge with ALS. Right. And that's what my dad passed from. Right. And so when I saw how viral that went, and when I saw just what that could do, it really just put a light bulb in my head, and I was like, you know, some people were angry that ALS was getting all the attention. Some people were angry that people were dumping water and wasting water. Okay, that's not the point. Yeah, the point is that somehow we all came together and helped one cause. So we don't have to stop with that one cause. What's the next thing we're going to do? And let's unite, you know, in other ways for other causes, and let's get people's stories. You know, and people who had been so afraid to write about ALS or who never felt like anyone would care about it started doing it. And then Caitlyn Jenner, you know, then we've got now people empowered to write about transgender and all this other stuff because one person shared their story. So if you are the person that shares that story, you then start this domino effect of other people feeling empowered and inspired to share theirs too. And like I said, it doesn't always have to be feel-good stuff. It can be stuff that, like, the nitty-gritty. What do people really need to know about, you know, what goes on behind the scenes at your job or in your life or anything?
I think people with jobs are going to flock. They're going to flock to your site and just rant about their jobs, you know? Like, you know, I mean, and it'll be good to see that, you know what? Everybody's going through it. It's normal.
And a little bit of humor goes a long way. You know, you don't have to be rude or anything, but, you know, just adding that lightheartedness to your life and seeing it in a different way. And my husband's favorite saying is, it is what it is, you know? It is what it is. This is what it is. Let me tell you what it is so we can do something about it.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Wow. He's about the solution, not the problem.
Yeah.
Wow. That's so awesome. So now, if you have, I lost my thought because you had said something right before that. It is what it is. What were you talking about? because you made me. I was thinking of thought and I completely lost it. But what was it? Oh, don't you hate that when it happens?
Yes. Trying to think of. I'm the worst at this.
Yeah, because you